Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, Tulsa's source for great gardens, southwoodgardencenter.com, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing. Welcome to Oklahoma Gardening. On today's show, host Casey Hentges makes a few tweaks on our potato cages. We make a cleaning station for our shovels and trowels. In Oklahoma City, we visit Edgemere Park, where the community has come together with city and state agencies and the Oklahoma City Community Foundation to preserve this historic park. And Barbara Brown prepares a sweet treat.
I just wanted to give you all an update on our potato planting towers and our two little experiments that we have going here. If you remember, in this one we planted potatoes in a traditional fashion, so we just have one layer of potatoes. You can see that they're growing quite well, and at this point we need to hill them in a little bit. Now, a lot of times we do this just with regular soil. We cover that plant up to allow those potatoes to grow even more. But I've also heard people experimenting with grass clippings so that when you go to harvest those potatoes, it's easier to pull the grass away from the potato versus soil. So what we're going to use is something that we've already incorporated in here, and that's this chopped straw. So we're going to try just hilling in our potatoes with chopped straw and see how that does. Basically, we're going to cover a little bit of these potatoes. You want to leave a little green so that they'll continue to get some of that photosynthesis. Now, if you'll remember on this tower, what we did was we layered several different plantings of potatoes. And the idea here is that the potatoes would grow out, so we wouldn't need to hill those in. You can see that they're starting to do that, obviously, all around here. We've got several sprouts coming out of the mesh wire. Now, we used a fine mesh wire intentionally to keep the rodents out, but we have found that that's a little bit of a problem as the potatoes are trying to sprout. They're kind of running into that, and it's starting to girdle some of them. So in order to fix that, we're just going to use our tin snips here and kind of snip around little holes around each of these sprouts to allow them to get out and to grow better. Gardening is a little bit about experimenting, and we obviously should have used a larger size mesh here, and we will in the future. But as far as the potatoes growing, they seem to be doing well. If you're planning on building one of these next spring, use a little bit larger size mesh, as we will. But other than that, we're going to continue cutting out little holes here. It'll work fine for this year, and we'll be harvesting in June. With planting season coming up, I'm guessing your hand trowels and your shovels are going to get a lot of use in the next couple of months. And there's nothing worse than when you go to get your shovel and it's covered with mud from the last time it was used. Well, we've got a quick and easy way to keep those tools fresh and clean for each use. All you're going to need is a bucket of sand. You want to make sure to get a 5-gallon bucket so that you have plenty of sand to dig your tools into. And then you're going to need some regular motor oil. You want to make sure to use motor oil, not vegetable oil, as it can go rancid. And you're going to use about 3/4 of a quart of motor oil per 5 gallons of sand. And coarse sand really works the best. So we're just going to add this in here. Now we're going to want to mix this up initially when we make this bucket of sand. You can see going in my hand trowel how dirty it is. And so as we mix that up, we'll notice how clean it comes out. So by keeping a bucket of sand like this next to where you store your tools, each time you come back to return your tools, you're just going to dig through this sand a little bit with your shovels and your hand trowels. The coarse sand is going to sharpen the edges as well as remove any of the dirt particles. Of course, sand, we know as it dries, it pretty much wipes off pretty easily, more so than what the soil would. The motor oil is nice because it protects the metal from rusting. This is a great, easy way to keep your tools nice and clean. Now we just need to do this with our larger shovels as well. You can see how that dirt is coming off of them. And you want to make sure to work it all the way down in there. Give it a few taps to get the sand off. And you can see that it comes out nice and clean. In addition to the coarse sand taking off the dirt particles, it also keeps a nice sharp edge on your shovel. Now, you don't necessarily have to use fresh new motor oil for this. It's a great way to recycle that oil that you might be draining out of your mowers. We all know we should treat our tools better to give them a longer life, and having a bucket of sand with some motor oil next to where you store your tools is a great way to ensure that each time you use your tools, you're giving them the best care. We are here at Edgemere Park in Oklahoma City, and joining me today is Brian Daugherty with Oklahoma City Community Foundation and the Margaret Annis Boys Trust. Brian, last year we talked to you guys about the iTree program and the inventory that work you're doing, and you have finished it now. Can you tell us what that means?
Well, it's so exciting for us. You know, a lot of us, Margaret Annis Boys Trust has been awarding grants for over 25 years, and a lot of times we were in the reactive state. We would turn around and react to after a storm or after tornadoes or something. This gives us a chance to really not only still do reactive and recover from storms, but really be out there on the front end and plan. This is a great example of one of the parks, one of the 136 parks that were inventoried, 20,000 trees, and they took information on every single tree in every park. So we know a lot about these trees. We know what their condition is, we know what their size is, we know what we can kind of forecast what their sustainability is into the future. So this gives us a great opportunity to turn around and take a park like this that they've just added the new sidewalks in. Margaret Annis Boys has awarded a grant for trees in here, and so now we can all sit down and say, okay, what do we have? Where are we working from and where are we moving forward? So it's a lot easier to say, do we interplant between certain trees? Do certain trees come out because of this? So we're real excited about this.
And obviously you're working very closely with the city of Oklahoma City, so everybody is using their financial resources more wisely
Absolutely.
in this process because of this iTree inventory.
Right. The city, the Department of Forestry, we work with County Extension. We've worked with so many, the Neighborhood Association, the Parks Department. All of us can come together and can look at this inventory, and we can turn around and say, this is the percentage of trees in this park. These are certain species. What about incorporating that? So we can really come about this a lot more strategically in terms of the sustainability of these trees.
And if somebody in the area wants to know some of the information that you're able to extract from this inventory, where can they find this?
You can go to our website and see this inventory, and then of course Neil will work one-on-one with a lot of the neighborhoods as their parks come up, and there's a lot of information from the iTrees, the general iTree information that you can pull off the web.
And Edgemere Park is just one example how this inventory is being used between the community and the city of Oklahoma City.
Yeah, this is just a great example of this baseline and how we're able to use 136 parks, plus there's numerous other public spaces, and we can come in there and really make great decisions and be very proactive in our decision.
Joining us now is Denise Waters, who is with the Edgemere Park Preservation Incorporated, and as a board member here, you're heavily involved with the recent improvements that have happened. Can you tell us a little bit about how the iTree inventory influenced what's been going on here?
Well, through the Margaret Annis Boyce Trust, we were awarded a $30,000 grant for new trees and improvements, and we're planning on using the information from the tree inventory to look at placement of the new trees we're planning on planting, and what kind of species will be good to use to create a tree-lined sidewalk, so that in the heat of the summer it won't be so hot and people can still get out and walk and exercise.
Right, and that actually influenced the sidewalks, it influenced the lights. I mean, there's a lot more than just trees happening here in the park.
Right. We've been active for many years, and our neighborhood association raised a lot of money to put new lights in the park. We worked with the Parks Department and Public Works to put in the sidewalks, and now the next phase is to put in new trees. Okay. So that's our big plan.
And of course you have a lot of existing trees already, but you did lose some in an ice storm a few years ago. And so now you'll know what might be best to go back with.
Right. 2007 we lost 53 trees.
Wow.
And so yes, we'll be looking at species that can withstand some of the ice storms. And
as somebody who lives here in the community, can you kind of tell about your relationship with the city and how you've worked with them through this process and what that has meant to you?
Oh, they've been invaluable. Neil Bilger, he's the arborist for the Parks Department. He has done a great job with helping us to identify trees that are diseased and need to come out.
And like so many city parks, this is really like a living room for the neighborhood. You guys have a lot of events here, so it's really important to maintain it beautifully as it is.
That's true. People use the park every day, and their dogs are out here. On Saturday morning, it's Dog Fest. So, and you can see people doing yoga and all kinds of different activities in the park.
Thank you for opening it up to us today to see it.
Well, thank you for coming.
Mark Bays, who is our urban forester coordinator with the Oklahoma Forestry Service, is joining us now. And Mark, this iTree inventory program and the inventory that has been done is quite extensive and valuable across Oklahoma City. Can you tell us about the value of trees and what that means?
Oh yeah, that's what's so great about this inventory that they did. Is I've always said that trees go way beyond beautification. I mean, certainly they add that niceness in our communities and our parks and everything and make them more livable, but they provide so much more. So all the environmental services that trees provide are something that we can now document through this program that they've done with Oklahoma City. Water quality, stormwater runoff, air quality, all those kinds of things, again, way beyond beautification that trees provide. We can start putting a dollar value on that, and now Oklahoma City is starting to see a little bit more about what they have in their city parks.
And just an example of that, again, we're here at Edgemere Park in Oklahoma City. They've had some erosion problems here in the past, and so that's going to influence some of the trees that they're going to select to replace
Yes,
here?
So around waterways, there's different species of trees to use, and they have a real accurate measurement of those trees that they've used along here. There's some bald cypress. I mean, that's a great place to be planting trees along a waterway. So they're probably going to be mixing some more of those in it. But what's important to know is you match the tree to the site for the benefit and the value that they're going to be providing. So, you know, with a little bit of an investment in a city and town, as these trees grow and mature, they're going to be able to maximize some of those values that they're getting for a long time to come.
And I think so often we think, oh, just put a tree somewhere out in a park, but there's way more to it than that.
You really should think about not only beautification, but think about using trees as tools to help solve some environmental issues that you might be having in a city park, along a street, or even around your home.
And that includes air quality, water quality, all sorts of things.
All those things. Plant the right tree in the right location around your home, and you can actually have energy savings because of that.
Excellent. And there is actually an area of the iTree website that a homeowner could go in and put their own inventory in.
Yes, it's all free. That's what's so great about this, and it's all the latest science-based information. iTree Design is where you can go into your home, not inside your home, but
Right.
you know, to your place, and through Google imaging, your home will come up, and then you can specifically locate a tree around your home to get the idea of what kind of benefits it'll be providing.
So we're not just looking at soil anymore, we're looking at the economic value of where the best place is to put a tree.
You're exactly right.
Thank you for sharing this.
Sure.
Joining us is Neil Bilger, who is an arborist for the city of Oklahoma City. And Neil, again, we're here at Edgemere Park, and you've been working with the neighborhood with this inventory, the tree inventory. Can you tell us how you've used it specifically here?
Yes, this inventory now allows us to perform tree care on a much more proactive basis. As opposed to prior, we were going out to each park to see exactly what we had out there. Now that we have this incredible database of 20,000 trees, we know with the click of a mouse what is out at each particular park.
And why is that important to know what was there going forward in the future?
Well, tree diversity is our most powerful tool when it comes to arboriculture. Now that we have this different species, we know what we have out there, we know that we're going to try and not get above 10% on any one species. And one of the things we've learned from this is we're right where we need to be with that. But you know, we don't want to create a situation similar to the American elm, where cities planted those throughout their entire city, and then Dutch elm came in and basically wiped them all out.
Gotcha. So that's a good reason why to add diversity into any landscape, really.
Yes, any home landscape, any landscape, you need to have your diversity.
So Neil, what does this inventory mean in regards to the maintenance that y'all do here in the parks?
So now that we have this inventory, we know that we're shooting for a 6 or 7 year prune cycle, to where we're going to go out and physically touch every single tree. And when I say touch every single tree, we're going to prune every single tree in the park system, hopefully every 6, possibly 7 years.
And that's important for storm damage prevention.
Yes, if we can cut out, you know, dead or dying limbs, and we can structurally prune those trees now to prepare for ice storms, tornadoes, whatever we're going to get. We can take out points of weak attachment, and as to make sure that this tree is better suited for the future storms that we're going to have.
Now obviously we're just here at Edgemere Park, and this is one of a couple 100 parks across the city.
134.
134 to be exact, parks across the city that have inventoried their trees. And so the collective value of that is just significant for the city.
Yes, I mean, we know all 20,000, and we know right now we have about a 13% tree canopy. And depending
and that
on...
means shade, right?
Yes, exactly.
You're translating that to
yes.
shade, yeah.
Tree canopy shade, walking paths.
Because everybody wants that shade in August.
Yes, yes. Overall, we know that we have a 13% canopy, and you know, we strive to increase that canopy.
Okay.
And now we know, you know, how many trees we need to plant in order to sustain that, and how to increase that number also.
Excellent. Well, this seems like such a valuable tool for so many people involved and all the citizens of Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma Gardening would like to thank the Oklahoma City Community Foundation for the work that it does throughout Oklahoma and its support of our program. Since 1969, the Oklahoma City Community Foundation has worked with donors to create charitable funds and bring together and empower partnerships that benefit our community, both now and into the future. For more information about programs and opportunities for giving, visit the Foundation's website, occf.org. The Oklahoma City Community Foundation, helping you help the community.
Roasted strawberry pretzel parfaits. That's what we're going to work on today. springtime always makes me think of early fruits, early vegetables, and so that's where we're going to go. I'm going to start with the strawberries, and we're going to roast them, which is going to dry them out a little bit and really bring out the flavor. It's also going to release some juice, so in the roasting process, I don't want to put them directly on a board. I want to put them on a piece of parchment paper as well. So these strawberries are huge. You need about a cup. This only makes 2 servings. So I'm going to cut them in half. And this really monster one, I'm going to cut in quarters so that they're similar in size. And then I'm going to put them in a bowl here. The nice thing about this one is that this stuff is really nice in multiple purposes. You can use the roasted strawberries in the parfait. You can use them on a bagel or toast or mix them in with other things too. So I'm putting in somewhere between 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar. I don't want to use a lot. If the berries are good, you can taste your berries ahead of time. If they are really sweet to start with, you may not need a lot. These are, as you can see, some of the larger ones that may not have as nice of a flavor. So I'm going to add a little bit extra sugar in here too. These are now going on my sheet here, my baking sheet. And I want to spread them out. And I'm going to put them all the same direction simply because you need to flip them about halfway through. The oven's preheated at 425. And halfway through the 15-minute baking time or roasting time, you want to flip them over. And if I've got them all the same direction, then I can tell which ones I've flipped and which ones I haven't. These are going to go in the oven. You can use them directly after they come out, or you can let them cool a little bit. You can make them up a couple of days ahead. That gives you some time freedom. All right, these you can see that some of the juice has gotten a little bit too dark, which means you're not going to want to try and save the juice for most of them. But the berries themselves they smell fantastic. So let's go ahead and work on the next step on this. We'll let them cool just a little bit. I have a cup of small pretzels. Get the brand of your choice. You could put them in a food processor, but there's really no reason to. It's not a lot, it's only a cup, and I always wonder how many dishes do I want to do, even with a dishwasher. So we're just going to break these up. They don't have to be pulverized. We just want them in kind of small pieces, so it doesn't take very long. And you can, if some of them go more finely than others, that also is not a problem. I put these in a bowl, and I've got a tablespoon of unsalted butter because we have lots of salt here on the pretzels. And so we're going to put that over it. And again, you could use a little bit less if you wanted to, but you do want them to be coated. And then just a pinch of cinnamon, just a small amount to bring everything out. Stir those together and set those aside. And then we'll do the last step on this, which is 3/4 cup of plain yogurt. Now I'm using a whole milk yogurt because I think it feels richer and in my mouth and just gives a nice flavor, but you could use a reduced fat one. You just want to use one that's plain as much as you can. It can be a Greek yogurt. If you can still find one that's not Greek, that's plain, that will work also. And then to that I'm going to add a tablespoon of brown sugar. And we want to make sure that there aren't any lumps here, but it's just a matter of stirring it together. And at that point we're going to be ready to make the parfaits. And if it's a little streaky, it's okay. We just didn't want it lumpy. So I'm going to put some of the yogurt into a small glass and turn the timer off. Now the trick here is to try and do it as much as you can without marking the sides, which I've already done, obviously. And then strawberries in here. Remember, this makes 2 servings, so you want to divide this out. However, also remember that I probably cooked more strawberries than I needed to, so that you may find that you have some left over. A little bit here of the pretzels, and then like all parfaits, you're just going to layer it up. Because you can do a lot of this ahead of time, you could mix the yogurt together with the sugar. About the only thing you don't want to do too far ahead of time is actually put everything together. Because you'll find that the pretzels do get soggy fairly quickly. So the assembly needs to be pretty close to when you're actually going to serve. Our last layer of pretzels. Now I'm going to put a little bit more yogurt on the top. and then top it off if you wanted to with a garnish. This one's huge. A smaller strawberry would probably be a better choice. But you can see this is a small recipe for one or two people. It's really, really good. Doesn't take much time, and all the ingredients pretty much can be done ahead. The last thing you do at the last minute is put it all together. I hope you'll try this one for Oklahoma Gardening. I'm Barbara Lynn.
There are lots of great horticultural events this time of year. Be sure and consider these activities when you're making your plans for the weeks ahead. Next week, we're getting ready for National Public Gardens Day with tours of a few of the wonderful horticultural gems in our state. First, we visit the Oklahoma City Zoo and Botanical Garden. Then in Tulsa, we take a stroll through the grounds of Philbrook Museum and an unexpected tasty garden that they have built. And back home in Stillwater, we get an update on all of the exciting changes to the Botanic Garden at Oklahoma State University. There's lots to see and do in a garden near you, so be sure and join us next week for more TV you'll grow to love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We wish to thank our generous underwriters, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is provided by Pond Pro Shops, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, and the Oklahoma Horticultural Society. We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.